All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, the marriage between the New York Jets and quarterback Sam Darnold has nearly 3 years under its belt, and so far the results, plain and simple, are not good. Darnold's record as a starting quarterback for Gang Green is just 11-22, while the Jets' overall record during that stretch is 11-32. The Jets right now are on pace for their worst season since 1996, when they went 1-15. Of course, right now the Jets are 0-11 heading into action this weekend when they host the Las Vegas Raiders. But you look at it, and, you know, the Jets really haven't done Darnold any favors as far as like putting quality people around him to make him a solid pro. You look at the hiring of Adam Gase as the head coach, and I was never a fan of this hire back last year when the Jets brought him in. You figure he had just come off of getting fired by the Miami Dolphins. Yes, he did get the Dolphins to the postseason in his first year there, but after that, it was a rapid decline downhill. He lost the locker room, and after that, there was a mutiny, and the players quit on him. We've seen that already with the Jets. They were 7-9 last season, and, you know, a lot of the veteran players, they're gone. You know, and it's a situation where Gase, to me, not a head coach. He got a head coaching position just due to the fact that he worked with Peyton Manning. And it's one of those where you can work with Peyton Manning when he's the quarterback, and he'll make any offensive assistant look good. That's how talented he was, and that's the umbrella that Adam Gase is under. The Jets have really failed to develop a running game, and I think one of the best things, or one of the best tools when you have a young quarterback that you are looking to establish, you've got to have a running game to offset that, to take some of the pressure off of him. The Jets have never had that. We saw the failed Le'Veon Bell experiment. It was a situation where, you know what, the head coach really didn't want him. The GM brought him in. And, you know, because of that, you know, it was a problem. And who suffers? The Jets. And, of course, if the Jets suffer, who suffers as well? Sam Darnold. The Jets allowed, you know, a wide receiver, Robbie Anderson, to leave in free agency. And, you know, Robbie Anderson, he's not a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, but you could see that there was some chemistry there between he and Sam Darnold, and the Jets allowed him to walk out of the door, and now he is a member of the Carolina Panthers. The Jets did use a second-round pick in this year's draft on wide receiver Denzel Mims, who has been injured for most of this season. So, of course, if you're injured, you really can't contribute, especially as a wide receiver, as a rookie, when you're trying to catch up to speed with everything that's going on. And it's tougher this year due to the fact that things were so different in the offseason because of COVID. The Jets' offensive line is a work in progress. You know, they drafted Mekhi Becton this year in the first round, and you can see the talent there, that he has the potential to be one of the better left tackles in the NFL. Not there yet, but he is getting there. And, you know, you need a quality offensive line in front of your quarterback in order to protect them. Then, you know, switching gears to the defensive side of the football, and the Jets traded Jamal Adams. And it's a situation, you know, from an outsider's perspective, you look at it and say, well, how big is it trading Jamal Adams if you're the Jets? He doesn't play offense. Very true. But the thing is, Jamal Adams was a difference maker on that side of the ball. He could force turnovers. He was the wild card in defensive coordinators Greg Williams' defense. He could fly around to the football, get sacks, force fumbles, get interceptions, disrupt passes. Most importantly, change field position. If you're getting a sack fumble and you're recovering it deep in your opponent's territory, if you're getting an interception and you're recovering it deep in an opponent's territory, or running the ball back for a pick six, or getting a scoop and score, you know, it changes some of the dynamic. It takes some pressure off of Darnold, where he doesn't have to go out there and do it by himself. So, you know, when you have playmakers like that, you know, it just makes things easier for your young quarterback. And I really think this is something that the Jets have really missed in the brief career of Sam Darnold. He only has a career completion percentage of 59.6. 39 touchdown passes to 36 interceptions simply ain't going to get it done for anybody in the National Football League. And now, you know, it's one of those where, could Darnold's time with the Jets be coming to an end? They're 0-11. They're definitely going to have a new head coach next year. Adam Gase is not coming back. I mean, forget about it. You can't go 0-11. I mean, the Jets would be lucky if they win one game at this point of the season. So you're not going to go 1-15 or 0-16 and expect to be back as a head coach next season in the NFL. It simply does not work out like that. Joe Douglas more than likely will be back as a general manager. However, with that said, you're bringing in a new head coach. More than likely, he wants to start fresh and he wants to bring in his guy at quarterback. And, there are a lot of people talking about the Jets possibly taking Justin Fields, a quarterback out of Ohio State, or Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback out of Clemson, first overall, and you're not going to have two starting quarterbacks on your roster, which means that, Darnold's time in New York could be coming to an end. I think if that's the case, the most logical places for Sam Darnold would be either with the Indianapolis Colts or the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings probably more of a long shot. I mean, Kirk Cousins is in the last year of his contract. But I mean, will the Vikings probably re-sign him? More than likely, they probably won't give him the guaranteed money that they gave him the first time around. But then you look at the Colts; they are in contending for a postseason spot right now. They do have a veteran quarterback in Phillip Rivers, but at the same time, head coach Frank Reich, a former NFL quarterback himself, knows the position and knows how to work with young quarterbacks. You saw what he did during his time with Carson Wentz with the Philadelphia Eagles. And we've seen what he's been able to do with the Indianapolis Colts. And it's a situation, hey, the Colts can bring back Phillip Rivers next year. I wouldn't have a problem if you simply sat Darnold behind Rivers for 1 year in Indianapolis and have a situation where he gets to learn from a veteran. He gets to learn from a veteran that more than likely is going to end up in the Hall of Fame as far as the ins and outs. And then on top of that, he gets schooled by Frank Reich. So I think it's a good situation for Darnold right there, because at the end of the day, I think Darnold needs a fresh start. You go back to that 2018 draft. He was a third overall pick. He was brought in and expected to be the savior for this New York Jets franchise. And it's such a problem. I feel sorry for every single young quarterback that the Jets bring in. Why? Because the media in New York City and the fan base alike, for the most part, are still searching for the next Joe Namath. And Joe Namath is not walking through the door at MetLife Stadium wearing a green uniform anytime soon. There is not going to be another Joe Namath. People have to understand that. Darnold has the potential still to be a good quarterback, but I think he needs the right people behind him. And this is a prime example of when you put a player with good potential into a bad organization. Those bad organizations are bad for a reason. They don't know how to win. They're not committed and focused and dedicated to winning. And now we are seeing those results show up, and this can ruin a young kid. So I think the career of Sam Darnold could be saved. It's not going to be saved in New York with the Jets. I think the best thing for him to do is get out of Dodge. And if you're the Jets, obviously you won't recoup what you used to get Darnold, because remember, they traded up in the first round to get Darnold in 2018, so they had to give some picks away to the Colts. And it would be funny and ironic if that's the case, that they would ship him back to Indy. They're not going to get a first round pick for trading Darnold, maybe a second or third, but probably closer to a third. But it's a situation where, at this point, it's better for both parties to just part, move on, and just start fresh. It's a darn shame, because Darnold could have been a lot better for the Jets, but at the end of the day, they did not do him any favors with what they've put around him and taken away in his brief tenure there. And, for the sake of the Jets, they're going to find themselves in a few months in a very a familiar situation, which is starting over with that R word, rebuild. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to thank all of the subscribers out there. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. Take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.